In October 1989, the Morrison family lived in Knoxville, Tennessee, approximately 60 miles from the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. David Morrison, age 42, worked as a mechanical engineer for a local manufacturing company. According to employment records, he had been with the firm for 14 years and was described by colleagues as methodical and reliable. Sarah Morrison, age 38, taught 4th grade at Sequoia Elementary School. School administrators later confirmed she had requested 3 personal days for the family camping trip, stating to her principal that her husband wanted to show their children a location he had discovered during previous hiking expeditions. The Morrison children were Jake, age 16, a junior at West High School, and Emma, age 12, a 7th grader at the same elementary school where their mother taught. According to school records, both children were considered good students with no disciplinary issues. David Morrison had been hiking in the Smoky Mountains since 1975, according to his membership records with the Tennessee Valley Hiking Club. Fellow club members described him as an experienced outdoorsman who typically hiked alone or with one companion. Club records show he had completed over 30 documented hikes in the region. In 1987, during a solo hiking trip, David had discovered what he described to club members as an abandoned mining cabin approximately 8 miles from the nearest marked trail. According to witness statements given to police in 1989, David had mentioned this cabin to at least 3 club members, describing it as structurally sound and located near a reliable water source. David's hiking partner, Robert Chen, told investigators that David had spoken about the cabin multiple times, expressing interest in bringing his family there for an overnight camping experience. Chen stated that David had drawn a rough map of the location during a club meeting in early 1989. According to Sarah Morrison's sister, Linda Walsh, the family had been planning this camping trip since August 1989. Walsh told police that Sarah had expressed some concern about the remote location, but trusted David's experience in the mountains. The family's camping equipment, according to an inventory provided by David's brother Mark Morrison, included a 4-person tent purchased in 1988, sleeping bags rated for temperatures down to 30 degrees Fahrenheit, a camping stove, water purification tablets, and approximately 3 days' worth of food supplies. David had informed his supervisor at work, according to company records, that he would be taking Friday, October 13th, off work, with plans to return Monday, October 16th. School attendance records show Jake and Emma were marked absent on Friday, October 13th, with a note indicating a family excursion. According to neighbors, the Morrison family loaded their 1985 Ford Bronco on Thursday evening, October 12th. Neighbor Margaret Stevens, who lived 2 houses down, stated she saw the family placing camping gear in the vehicle around 7 in the evening. The family departed their Knoxville home at approximately 6:30 a.m. on Friday, October 13th, according to Linda Walsh, who had spoken with Sarah by telephone the previous evening. Sarah had told her sister they planned to drive to a parking area near Gatlinburg and begin hiking from there. Records from the National Park Service show that David Morrison registered at the Elkmont Campground Ranger Station at 9:15 a.m. on October 13th. The registration form, signed by David, indicated a party of 4 planning to backcountry camp for 2 nights, with an expected return date of Sunday, October 15th. According to the information David provided to the ranger station, the family planned to hike along the Little River Trail for approximately 4 miles before branching off onto an unmarked path that David claimed to know from previous trips. The ranger on duty, according to his statement to investigators, had questioned David about the unmarked route, but David assured him he was familiar with the area. Park records show that David had obtained the required backcountry camping permit, number 894721, valid for October 13th of 1989. The permit listed their planned camping area as Little River Watershed, 8 miles southeast of Elkmont. The family's vehicle, the 1985 Ford Bronco with Tennessee license plate number TN4729B, was left in the designated overnight parking area at Elkmont. According to park records, this was the last official documentation of the Morrison family's location. National Weather Service records for October 13-14, 1989, show that conditions in the Smoky Mountains were initially clear and mild, with daytime temperatures reaching 68 degrees Fahrenheit and overnight lows around 45 degrees. However, on October 14th, an unexpected weather system moved through the region. According to meteorological data, the area experienced sudden temperature drops, with conditions falling to 32 degrees Fahrenheit by evening. Precipitation began around 3 p.m. on October 14th, initially as rain, but transitioning to snow at higher elevations by evening. The weather system, according to National Weather Service reports, was not forecasted with significant advance warning. Rangers at Great Smoky Mountains National Park later stated that the storm's intensity and sudden onset were unusual for mid-October. On Sunday, October 15th, when the Morrison family failed to return to their vehicle by the 6 p.m. deadline specified on their camping permit, park rangers conducted an initial check of the parking area. Their Ford Bronco remained in the same parking space where it had been since October 13th. Standard protocol required rangers to wait until Monday morning before initiating search procedures for overdue backpackers, according to Park Service guidelines. However, Linda Walsh had contacted park authorities on Sunday evening after Sarah failed to call home as promised. By 8 a.m. on Monday, October 16th, when David Morrison failed to report to work, his supervisor contacted the Morrison home. When no one answered, the supervisor called David's emergency contact, his brother Mark Morrison. Mark Morrison contacted Great Smoky Mountains National Park at 9:30 a.m. on October 16th, requesting immediate search efforts for his brother's family. Park Ranger Thomas Bradley initiated the first organized search at 10:15 a.m. on October 16th. The initial search team consisted of 4 park rangers and 2 search and rescue volunteers from the Blount County Sheriff's Department. The team followed the Little River Trail to the approximate point where David Morrison had indicated he would leave the marked path. According to Ranger Bradley's report, the team found no clear evidence of the family's passage beyond the 4-mile point on the established trail. By Tuesday, October 17th, the search had expanded to include 12 park rangers, 16 volunteers from 3 county sheriff departments, and 2 search dogs from the Tennessee Emergency Management Agency. The search area was divided into grid sections, with teams assigned to specific coordinates. On October 18th, the search expanded further. According to official records, the operation involved 47 personnel on the ground, including specialized technical rescue teams equipped for cliff and cave rescue operations. Lieutenant James Crawford of the Sevier County Sheriff's Department took command of search operations on October 19th. Crawford had supervised previous missing person searches in the Smoky Mountains and brought additional resources, including helicopter support from the Tennessee National Guard. The helicopter, a UH-1 Huey designated Rescue 7, conducted aerial surveillance of the search area on October 19th and 20th. Flight records show the aircraft completed 6 hours of search patterns over an area covering approximately 25 square miles. On October 20th, search teams discovered what appeared to be a partial footprint in soft soil approximately 6 miles from the Elkmont trailhead. According to the search report, the print was consistent with a size 10 hiking boot, matching the footwear David Morrison was known to have worn. This discovery prompted an expansion of the search grid to cover areas further from the established trails. Additional volunteers arrived from Tennessee, Kentucky, and North Carolina, bringing the total search personnel to over 200 individuals by October 21st. The October 14th storm had created significant challenges for search operations. According to meteorological reports, the area had received 2.3 inches of precipitation, with snow accumulations of up to 6 inches at elevations above 3,500 feet. Many potential camping areas were now covered with snow, making it difficult to identify signs of recent human presence. Search teams used metal detectors to locate potential camping equipment beneath the snow cover, but these efforts yielded no results. The rough terrain presented additional obstacles. Large sections of the expanded search area consisted of steep ravines, dense undergrowth, and areas accessible only to technical rescue teams with specialized climbing equipment. Local communities organized volunteer efforts to support the search operation. According to newspaper reports from the Knoxville News Sentinel, local churches and civic organizations provided food and temporary shelter for search volunteers. Sarah Morrison's school, Sequoia Elementary, organized prayer vigils and fundraising efforts to support the search operation. The Parent-Teacher Association raised $1,200 to help fund additional search equipment. David Morrison's employer, according to company statements, offered a $5,000 reward for information leading to the family's safe return. This reward was matched by contributions from co-workers and local businesses. By October 25th, search operations had covered over 40 square miles of mountainous terrain. Teams had investigated 127 potential camping sites, searched 23 caves and rock shelters, and followed up on 34 reported sightings that proved to be false leads. According to official search records, the operation had cost approximately $47,000 in personnel, equipment, and helicopter support. State emergency management officials began discussions about scaling back the search due to budget constraints and the declining probability of finding survivors. On October 27th, Lieutenant Crawford held a press conference to announce that active search operations would be suspended after October 28th. Crawford stated that all reasonable search areas had been covered and that the likelihood of survival after 2 weeks in harsh conditions was minimal. October 28th marked the final day of active search operations. Teams conducted a last sweep of the most promising areas, focusing on locations near water sources and natural shelters where the family might have sought refuge during the storm. The last search team returned to the command post at 4:30 p.m. on October 28th, having found no additional evidence of the Morrison family's presence in the wilderness area. At 6:00 p.m. on October 28th, Lieutenant Crawford officially suspended active search operations. The case was transferred to the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation as a missing persons case, with a status of presumed deceased due to exposure. The official investigation report, filed on November 15, 1989, concluded that the Morrison family had likely become lost during the October 14th storm and succumbed to exposure within 48 to 72 hours. The report cited the family's limited cold weather equipment and the severity of the unexpected weather conditions. According to the final report, the most probable scenario was that the family had become disoriented during the storm and had been unable to return to marked trails or find adequate shelter. The report noted that the search area contained numerous deep ravines and cliff areas where remains might not be discovered for years or decades. Death certificates for all 4 family members were issued on March 15, 1990, listing the cause of death as presumed exposure to elements and the date of death as October 15, 1989. The case remained officially closed, though it was designated as open pending discovery of remains. The Morrison family's Ford Bronco was released to relatives in November 1989 and was later sold. For 22 years, the fate of the Morrison family remained a mystery that would haunt the Great Smoky Mountains region, until an unexpected discovery in 2011 would reveal that the official conclusion had been tragically incomplete. In June 2011, 2 experienced hikers would make a discovery that would reopen one of the Great Smoky Mountains' most enduring mysteries. Marcus Chen, age 34, worked as a software engineer in Atlanta, Georgia, and had been an active member of the Georgia Mountain Club since 2007. According to club records, Chen had completed over 80 documented hikes throughout the southeastern United States and was known for his methodical approach to wilderness exploration. Rebecca Torres, age 29, was pursuing her graduate degree in environmental science at the University of Tennessee. Her academic background included extensive fieldwork in wilderness environments, plant identification, and basic archaeological survey techniques. Torres had been hiking in the Smoky Mountains for 6 years and possessed advanced orienteering skills gained through university courses. The 2 hikers had met through online hiking forums in 2009 and had completed 12 previous expeditions together between 2009 and 2011. According to their statements to investigators, both Chen and Torres were safety-conscious hikers who carried GPS devices, emergency beacons, and maintained detailed logs of their wilderness activities. Chen's hiking journal, later recovered by investigators, documented their planning process for what was intended to be a 3-day exploration of unmapped sections in the Little River watershed area. Torres had identified several locations on topographical maps that showed interesting geological formations, but had no established hiking trails. The hikers obtained proper backcountry permits numbered 11-2847 and 11-2848 for June 18 to 20, 2011, from the Great Smoky Mountains National Park Service. Their equipment inventory, provided to police following the discovery, included GPS units, digital cameras, rock climbing gear, camping equipment rated for 3 days, and emergency satellite communication devices. According to National Weather Service records, the forecast for their planned hiking dates predicted clear conditions with daytime temperatures between 72 and 85 degrees Fahrenheit, ideal conditions for their extended wilderness exploration. Chen and Torres signed the trail register at Elkmont at 7:15 a.m. on June 18, 2011, beginning their planned route along the Little River Trail. They followed the established trail for 4.2 miles before branching onto an unmarked deer path heading southeast, according to GPS coordinates later provided to investigators. By evening of the first day, they had covered approximately 6.8 miles and established their camp near a small stream at coordinates 35.6234 Dgranen 83, 4521 W. According to Chen's GPS device, Torres later told investigators that they spent the evening photographing local plant species and reviewing topographical maps to plan their route for the following day. Both hikers reported normal wildlife activity in their statements to police, with no unusual observations or signs of previous human presence in their chosen camping area. The first day proceeded according to their planned itinerary without incident. Chen and Torres broke camp at 6:45 a.m. on June 19th, according to timestamps recorded on Chen's digital camera. They continued their planned route deeper into the unmapped sections of the watershed area, following natural ridgelines and valley formations identified on their topographical maps. At approximately 9:30 a.m., Torres noticed an unusual rock formation approximately 200 yards off their planned route. According to police statements, the formation appeared to consist of several large boulders that might form a natural cave or overhang, features of geological interest given Torres's academic background. Chen and Torres decided to investigate the rock formation, believing it might provide interesting photographic opportunities or geological samples for Torres's research. The approach required scrambling over loose rocks and dense undergrowth that appeared undisturbed by recent human activity. As they reached the rock formation, they discovered that it consisted of several large boulders that had apparently shifted over time, creating a partial cave-like structure. However, Chen noticed what appeared to be artificial materials partially buried under rocks and accumulated vegetation debris. Torres' environmental science training allowed her to identify pieces of tarp material and what appeared to be tent stakes scattered among the rocks. According to their statements to investigators, it became clear that someone had constructed a makeshift shelter in this location that had subsequently been crushed by shifting rocks and natural debris accumulation. The materials appeared heavily weathered and had been exposed to the elements for an extended period. Based on Torres's assessment of the deterioration patterns, the discovery immediately raised questions about when the shelter had been constructed and what circumstances had led to its abandonment. Chen and Torres decided to carefully excavate the area, applying archaeological principles that Torres had learned during her graduate studies. They used their climbing equipment to secure the area and prevent further rock shifts during their investigation, documenting the entire process with Chen's digital camera. The systematic removal of debris revealed fragments of camping equipment, including torn fabric pieces, broken tent poles, and scattered cooking utensils. After removing approximately 2 feet of accumulated rocks, vegetation, and soil, they encountered a metal object that had been protected beneath the heaviest debris. The object was a rusted metal box measuring approximately 8 inches by 6 inches by 4 inches deep. According to forensic analysis conducted later, it was originally a military surplus ammunition container that had been repurposed for civilian use. Despite significant rust damage to the exterior, the container's rubber seal had remained largely intact, protecting the contents from moisture damage. The container's position under what appeared to be the central area of the collapsed shelter suggested it had been deliberately placed there, rather than randomly scattered by the structural collapse. Chen and Torres wore gloves while handling the container, inadvertently preserving any potential fingerprint evidence. After documenting the exact position and orientation of the container with photographs and GPS coordinates, Chen carefully worked the rusted latch mechanism open using his multi-tool. The container's interior contained papers wrapped in plastic bags, according to their statements provided to investigators. Torres observed that the papers appeared to include handwritten documents, maps, and what looked like journal entries. Both hikers immediately recognized the potential historical or legal significance of their discovery and decided to minimize their handling of the materials to preserve any evidence. The largest item in the container was what initially appeared to be a hand-drawn map created by taping several sheets of paper together. Additional papers included written notes, lists, and diary-style entries written in what Torres observed were multiple different handwriting styles. Several papers contained dates written in various locations, with the earliest clearly visible date reading Oct. 13, 1989. This date immediately suggested that the materials were much older than either hiker had expected to find in the wilderness, raising questions about their origin and significance. Chen recalled reading about missing hikers in the Smoky Mountains, but could not immediately connect the 1989 date to any specific case. Torres's environmental science background included training on archaeological discoveries and the legal requirements for reporting such finds to appropriate authorities. Both hikers decided to carefully repackage the materials in their original plastic wrapping and document the discovery site with detailed photographs and GPS coordinates. Chen took pictures of each document before repackaging to ensure preservation of the evidence. Given the apparent age and potential significance of the documents, Chen and Torres agreed that their discovery required official investigation. Their location was beyond cell phone coverage, but both carried emergency satellite communication devices for wilderness safety. At 2:15 p.m. on June 19th, Chen activated his emergency beacon to establish contact with rescue services. Sevier County Emergency Management responded to the beacon activation within 20 minutes, establishing two-way communication via satellite link. Chen explained through the satellite communicator that they had discovered what appeared to be historical artifacts that might require investigation by park authorities or law enforcement. Emergency management immediately contacted Great Smoky Mountains National Park rangers regarding the unusual discovery. The Park Service dispatched Ranger Patricia Williams along with Detective Mike Harrison from the Sevier County Sheriff's Department to investigate the hikers' report. Chen and Torres provided precise GPS coordinates and detailed landmark descriptions to guide the response team to their location. Ranger Williams and Detective Harrison reached the discovery site at 4:45 p.m. on June 19th, approximately 2.5 hours after the initial emergency contact. Detective Harrison examined the collapsed shelter area and immediately recognized the potential significance of the discovery based on the apparent age of the materials and the circumstances of their preservation. Ranger Williams took custody of the metal container and its contents following proper chain of custody procedures for potential evidence. Both Chen and Torres provided detailed statements describing their discovery process, the condition of the site, and their observations about the materials. The investigation team conducted additional photography and measurements of the discovery location, documenting the shelter remains and the exact position where the container had been found. Detective Harrison performed a brief field examination of the documents, noting the 1989 dates and the presence of multiple handwriting samples. Ranger Williams accessed park records via radio communication to research missing person cases from 1989 that might be connected to the discovery. Within 30 minutes, park records identified the Morrison family disappearance from October 1989 as a potential match for the time frame indicated on the documents. The discovery was immediately classified as potential evidence in a missing person case, requiring specialized forensic examination by qualified technicians. The shelter site was designated as a potential crime scene, with access restricted, pending a complete investigation by forensic specialists. Detective Harrison personally transported the metal container to the Sevier County Sheriff's Department for secure storage in the evidence facility. Chen and Torres were escorted out of the wilderness area and transported to the Sheriff's Department to provide formal statements about their discovery. Ranger Williams arranged for the discovery site to be marked and monitored until a full forensic team could examine the area for any additional evidence. Authorities agreed to maintain confidentiality about the discovery until the documents could be properly analyzed and family members could be notified. Detective Harrison opened a new case file, designating the discovery as Case to 2011-0619-001 and began the process of reactivating the original 1989 Morrison family investigation. The documents were transferred to the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation Forensic Laboratory for professional analysis under controlled conditions. Preliminary forensic examination confirmed that the documents included journal entries, maps, and survival notes spanning several months from late 1989 into early 1990. The handwriting analysis identified at least 3 different writing styles among the documents, consistent with multiple authors. The original 1989 Morrison family case file was retrieved from archives and assigned to Detective Harrison for comprehensive review. Handwriting samples from the discovered documents were compared with available Morrison family writing samples from school and employment records. Surviving relatives of the Morrison family were contacted and informed of the discovery before any public announcement was made. The finding represented the first concrete evidence related to the Morrison family's fate since their disappearance 22 years earlier. The discovery would prove to be far more significant than anyone initially realized, as the contents of those carefully preserved documents would reveal a story of survival, desperation, and mystery that challenged everything investigators thought they knew about what had happened to the Morrison family in the wilderness of the Great Smoky Mountains. The forensic analysis of the Morrison family documents revealed a survival story that defied all expectations. The first entries, written in David Morrison's handwriting according to forensic experts, began on October 14, 1989, the day after their planned return date. Day 2. Storm hit harder than forecasted. Tent destroyed. Built emergency shelter near rock formation. Sarah and kids scared but holding together. We'll wait for weather to clear before attempting return. By November, the entries showed the family had survived far longer than anyone imagined. Sarah's handwriting appeared. David found the mining cabin he mentioned. We're heading there before winter sets in. Kids are weak, but determined. The most disturbing entries came from December 1989. Jake's teenage handwriting documented strange observations. Something's been following us for days. Dad says it's just animals, but animals don't watch from the same spot every night. Sarah's final entry, dated January 15, 1990, revealed their terrifying end. We reached the cabin, but we're not alone here. They were waiting for us. Following the coordinates referenced in Sarah Morrison's final diary entry, Detective Harrison organized the most comprehensive investigation in Great Smoky Mountains National Park history. The specialized team assembled in July 2011 included forensic technicians from the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, experienced park rangers with decades of backcountry knowledge, search and rescue specialists equipped with advanced GPS technology, and crime scene photographers trained in wilderness evidence documentation. Dr. Patricia Reeves, a forensic anthropologist from the University of Tennessee, joined the team specifically to examine any human remains that might be discovered. Her expertise in analyzing skeletal evidence from outdoor environments would prove crucial given the extended time frame since the Morrison family's disappearance. The team also included Detective Linda Santos from the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation's Cold Case Unit, who brought experience investigating missing person cases spanning multiple decades. Santos had successfully resolved 12 previously unsolved disappearance cases throughout Tennessee and was considered an expert in analyzing long-term survival scenarios. The investigation team departed from Elkmont on July 23, 2011, at 5:45 a.m., carrying specialized equipment including ground-penetrating radar, metal detectors, advanced photography equipment, and evidence collection materials sufficient for a multi-day operation. The route to the cabin location required navigating 3 miles of difficult terrain with no established trails for the final 4 miles. GPS coordinates extracted from Sarah Morrison's diary entries led the team through dense forest areas that showed no evidence of recent human passage. The terrain included steep rocky inclines, thick undergrowth, and several stream crossings that would have presented significant challenges for a family carrying camping equipment during winter conditions. Upon approaching the mining cabin at approximately 11:30 a.m., the investigation team immediately observed evidence that contradicted the assumption that the location had remained abandoned since the Morrison family's time. Fresh tire tracks, clearly visible in soft soil near a natural clearing, indicated that someone had accessed the area using an all-terrain vehicle within the previous month. The tire track analysis, conducted by forensic specialist Mark Thompson, revealed tread patterns consistent with a large ATV or small utility vehicle. The tracks formed a clear path leading to within half a mile of the cabin structure, despite the complete absence of any official road access to the remote location. Soil analysis of the tire impressions suggested the vehicle had made multiple trips to the area over several months. The mining cabin itself exceeded investigators' expectations regarding structural integrity. Historical records indicated the building had been constructed in 1923 during a brief copper mining operation that lasted only 18 months before being abandoned due to insufficient ore deposits. The structure measured 16 feet by 20 feet internally, with walls constructed of local timber and a stone foundation that had remained solid despite decades of mountain weather exposure. The cabin's roof, originally covered with wooden shingles, had been partially repaired with modern materials, including metal sheeting and synthetic tarp sections. These repairs appeared recent, with metal components showing minimal rust and synthetic materials displaying little weathering damage. The repairs were professionally executed, suggesting someone with construction experience had been maintaining the structure. Windows on the eastern and western walls had been covered with clear plastic sheeting, held in place by wooden strips nailed to the original window frames. The plastic appeared new and was installed in a manner designed to provide maximum light while maintaining insulation during cold weather periods. Inside the cabin, forensic technicians discovered extensive evidence of recent human occupation that immediately elevated the investigation's priority level. The interior had been organized as a functional living space with designated areas for sleeping, food preparation, and storage that demonstrated long-term planning and careful resource management. Food supplies were stored in makeshift shelving constructed along the cabin's eastern wall, using salvaged lumber and metal brackets. The inventory included 47 canned food items with expiration dates ranging from March 2010 to June 2011, according to the detailed catalog compiled by Detective Santos. The selection included nutritionally balanced options such as canned vegetables, proteins, and soups that suggested deliberate planning for sustained nutrition over extended periods. Several food containers showed evidence of recent consumption, with clean-cut marks on metal lids indicating the use of a quality can opener within days of the investigation team's arrival. Forensic analysis of residue found on opened containers confirmed that food had been consumed within 72 hours of the cabin's discovery. 4 distinct sleeping areas had been established using modern sleeping bags and camping equipment arranged on raised platforms constructed from salvaged lumber. The sleeping arrangement suggested occupancy by 2 adults and 2 children, based on the size and positioning of the bedding materials. The equipment appeared well maintained and included items manufactured between 2008 and 2010, according to product identification numbers recorded by investigators. The cabin's dining area provided the most disturbing evidence of recent occupation. A rough wooden table, apparently constructed from salvaged materials, had been positioned in the center of the main room with 4 metal plates, cups, and complete sets of utensils carefully arranged, as if a family had just finished a meal and stepped away temporarily. Forensic analysis of food residue on the dishes revealed traces of a meal consisting of canned soup, bread, and preserved meat that had been consumed within 72 hours of discovery. The cleanliness of the utensils and the organized arrangement suggested habitual use rather than a single occasion. Personal items discovered throughout the cabin included modern clothing, basic medical supplies, books, and recreational materials that indicated the occupants had established a permanent living situation rather than temporary shelter. 4 toothbrushes were found arranged in a makeshift bathroom area, along with basic hygiene supplies and towels. Dr. Patricia Reeves supervised the collection of over 200 individual evidence samples from throughout the cabin for laboratory analysis. DNA samples were obtained from clothing, bedding, dishes, personal items, and various surfaces using protocols designed to maximize the potential for genetic identification. Hair samples collected from sleeping areas and a makeshift bathroom area provided the highest quality genetic material for analysis. Fingerprint evidence was collected from dishes, utensils, and smooth surfaces using advanced powder techniques adapted for wilderness environments. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation Laboratory processed all samples using the most advanced DNA analysis technology available in 2011. Laboratory Director Dr. Michael Chen supervised the testing personally, given the high-profile nature of the case and the potential implications of the results. Laboratory reports completed on August 15, 2011, revealed DNA analysis results that fundamentally challenged investigators' understanding of the case. The genetic profiles extracted from cabin samples did not match any DNA evidence from the Morrison family, despite extensive comparison with genetic material obtained from their former home in Knoxville. However, the DNA evidence also failed to match any profiles contained in state and federal criminal databases, suggesting the cabin's occupants had no previous contact with law enforcement agencies. This eliminated the possibility that known fugitives or missing persons from other cases were involved. Most puzzling to forensic experts were unusual degradation patterns observed in several of the DNA samples. Dr. Chen's analysis indicated that the genetic material showed signs of prolonged exposure to environmental stress factors typically associated with extended periods of severe malnutrition and harsh outdoor living conditions spanning multiple years. The degradation patterns were consistent with genetic samples obtained from individuals who had experienced extreme physical stress over extended periods, possibly including prolonged exposure to temperature extremes, inadequate nutrition, and limited access to medical care. These findings suggested that whoever had been living in the cabin had endured significant hardship over several years. Detective Santos expanded the investigation to examine historical records of disappearances in the Great Smoky Mountains region, spanning the previous 50 years. Her research uncovered evidence of a systematic pattern that authorities had deliberately concealed from public knowledge for decades. County coroner records showed that between 1962 and 1989, 9 separate incidents had occurred involving families or groups of exactly 4 people who vanished during autumn camping trips in the same general geographical area. Each case followed a similar pattern. Experienced outdoors enthusiasts would fail to return from planned camping trips, brief search operations would be conducted, and cases would be officially classified as accidental death due to exposure within 2 weeks. Former park ranger William Matthews, who worked in the region from 1975 to 1995, provided crucial testimony during extensive interviews in August 2011. Matthews revealed that search operations in the specific area were consistently terminated prematurely due to administrative decisions made at levels above local park management. According to Matthews, experienced rangers had repeatedly requested authorization for extended search efforts and additional resources, but these requests were consistently denied by regional administrators, citing budget constraints and personnel limitations. Matthews also disclosed that Park Service personnel had received explicit instructions to discourage media interest in missing person cases and to avoid providing detailed information to journalists. Detective Santos's investigation revealed evidence of coordination between Park Service administrators and regional tourism industry representatives to minimize public awareness of disappearance cases. Internal memoranda obtained through court orders showed that tourism officials had actively lobbied government agencies to avoid publicity that might damage the region's reputation as a safe destination for outdoor recreation. The economic impact of tourism in the Great Smoky Mountains region exceeded $800 million annually during the 1980s, according to economic development reports. Tourism industry representatives had expressed concern that publicizing unexplained disappearances might discourage visitors and result in significant economic losses for local communities. Regional newspapers had been advised to limit coverage of missing person cases to brief initial announcements without follow-up reporting or investigative coverage. Editors at 3 local newspapers confirmed that they had received guidance from advertising representatives suggesting that extensive coverage of disappearances might result in reduced tourism advertising revenue. Park Service promotional materials and visitor guides made no mention of missing person cases, and tour guides received instructions to redirect conversations away from disappearance topics when leading groups through the area. Following the 2011 investigation, Detective Harrison implemented comprehensive surveillance measures around the mining cabin to monitor for any return visits by unknown occupants. The security system included 8 motion-activated cameras positioned at strategic locations around the structure and along the most likely approach routes. The surveillance equipment was designed to operate independently for extended periods, using solar power and weather-resistant housing. Images were transmitted via satellite communication to a monitoring station maintained by the Sevier County Sheriff's Department, allowing for real-time observation of the cabin area. During the first 6 months of surveillance, the cameras captured no definitive evidence of human activity, according to detailed logs maintained by Detective Harrison's team. However, monthly maintenance visits by park rangers revealed a disturbing pattern of equipment tampering that suggested someone was actively monitoring the surveillance operation. Cameras were frequently found repositioned to face different directions, disabled by unknown means, or completely removed from their mounting positions. The tampering occurred despite the remote location and the absence of any obvious wildlife activity that could account for the equipment disturbances. In March 2012, Great Smoky Mountains National Park administrators implemented an official closure of the entire area surrounding the mining cabin, citing unstable geological conditions and dangerous wildlife activity as justification for restricting public access. The closure encompassed approximately 25 square miles of mountainous terrain, making it one of the largest restricted areas in the park's history. Warning signs were installed at 12 known access points leading toward the cabin's location, and violation of the closure became punishable by federal fines up to $5,000 and potential criminal charges for trespassing on restricted federal property. Park rangers increased patrol frequency in adjacent areas to discourage unauthorized access attempts. The geological survey cited in the closure documentation was conducted by a private consulting firm rather than the United States Geological Survey, which typically handles such assessments for national park properties. Attempts by local media to obtain copies of the geological report were denied, with Park Service representatives citing security concerns and ongoing investigation requirements. The official investigation concluded in December 2011, without successfully determining the identity of the cabin's recent occupants or establishing definitive answers regarding the ultimate fate of the Morrison family members. Detective Harrison's final report, spanning 347 pages, classified the case status as open pending discovery of additional evidence. Comprehensive forensic analysis could not conclusively determine whether any Morrison family members survived beyond the January 1990 date recorded in Sarah's final diary entry. The possibility that family members might have survived for over 20 years in the wilderness seemed unlikely, but could not be definitively ruled out based on available evidence. The identity of those who had been living in the mining cabin during 2010 and 2011 remained completely unknown. DNA evidence confirmed human presence but provided no conclusive answers about identity, background, or current whereabouts of the mysterious occupants. Local hiking communities continue to report occasional sightings of 4 individuals moving through remote mountain areas, always observed from considerable distances, and never making contact with other outdoor enthusiasts. These reports remain officially unverified and are classified by authorities as unsubstantiated claims lacking credible evidence. Marcus Chen and Rebecca Torres, whose discovery had reopened the case, reported receiving anonymous messages warning them against discussing their findings publicly. Both hikers relocated to other states within 12 months of providing testimony, citing concerns about personal safety and unwanted attention related to their involvement in the investigation. As of 2025, the mining cabin area remains permanently closed to public access, with Park Service officials maintaining that restrictions are necessary for visitor safety. Specific details about ongoing dangers in the area are not provided to the general public, and requests for additional information are routinely denied by park administrators. The Morrison family case stands as one of the most thoroughly documented, yet ultimately unresolved missing person investigations in American national park history, leaving behind more disturbing questions than answers about what really happened in the remote wilderness of the Great Smoky Mountains.